At the moment, I am working on an assignment called the Junior Research Paper, and the topic I chose for this paper is school lunches, because I am a human interested in food, because that's where I get most of my nutrition from, and I was once a child, so therefore I should be interested in the nutrition that children are getting, and I think that's very important. So, as I began my research, I realized something that really concerns me, and basically has inspired my beef, sorry for the awful pun, with the NSLP. The NSLP, or the National School Lunch Program, is the organization that provides food to 90% of the school districts in the United States. So that's a lot. And within that, there are 31 million children who eat food provided by the National School Lunch Program every single school day, which adds up to 31 million children eating the NSLP's food 180 days a year. To put this into perspective, McDonald's serves 27 million people in America every day, 365 days a year. So, if I do some math, calling up my calculator, 31 times 180, that is 5,580 meals a year. 27 times 360. McDonald's United States serves 9,720 meals a year. So basically, the NSLP and McDonald's are like practically competitors. This is both a bad thing and a good thing. It's a bad thing because the NSLP is not serving healthy food. The NSLP's mission statement is to serve healthy and affordable food to the children and in the United States schools, but the problem is literally rooted in beef. As many people know, the United States federal government subsidizes beef and dairy. In this context, that means that the US government is buying unsold beef and dairy from the farmers and giving it to the NSLP to serve in schools. Since the NSLP and the individual school lunch programs are really tight as far as budget, having this affordable, cheap source of food is a really big plus for them. However, the problem is, it's not healthy. The reason that these foods are subsidized is because the American population's taste for them has gone down as they've realized how bad they are in contributing to the rise in heart attacks, obesity, and cholesterol levels that Americans are experiencing. But as Americans are buying them less, the NSLP is receiving more because of the subsidies. Which means most of the food served in schools is beef and dairy products that are high in fat, cholesterol, and other things that kids just don't need. A lot of kids' families are doing a really good job in serving their kids very nutritious diets, but those are being counteracted by the food they're being served in school. Not only that, but healthy food is expensive, so a lot of families can't even afford to feed their kids a lot of vegetables and really healthy food at home, so a lot of the nutrition they're getting is at school. But if the school food isn't benefiting their diets, a lot of kids are not getting the proper nutrition they need. In my research, I discovered that the drinks served with school lunches, which are mostly milk, are not the low-fat milk that is healthy for kids, but strawberry and chocolate milk that are filled with sugar and all kinds of artificial ingredients that are actually really unhealthy for the kids and basically the equivalent of feeding them soda every day. Most of the meals served to the kids do not follow the nutritional guidelines set up by the NSLP to make sure that the food is healthy and balanced, because the rules generally say that the schools are supposed to feed the kids as much as possible as going with these guidelines. But if the budgets aren't allowing for that, the school has the right to serve them food that isn't as healthy. And the root of this problem is the beef and dairy subsidies. If the government subsidized healthier food, that would mean that the schools would be receiving cheaper, healthier food to feed to the kids, and it would also be less expensive for their families to serve them healthy food at home. Not only do the unhealthy food served in schools contribute to the health problems that a lot of American children are facing right now, it also contributes to their behavioral problems too. Kids with more balanced, healthy, and especially organic diets are known to behave better and focus better than kids who are served more artificial ingredients. And to top that up, it brings up their test scores too, which means that part of the problem with America's educational system could be solved by giving them better food. This isn't really the NSLP's fault, even though that's where I'm kind of directing a lot of my anger. It's mostly the fault of the federal government and the USDA for subsidizing food that isn't good for kids and isn't good for people. I'm not saying that all beef and dairy is bad for you. Low-fat white milk is good for kids because it contains calcium and vitamin D, which they really need, and beef contains protein, which is also good. But as children's main sources of calories, it's just not healthy. And since we've already recognized the fact that children in the United States are having more heart, cholesterol, and obesity problems than they have in the past, we should really rethink how we're feeding our children, because they are the future of our country. This seems like a petty argument, but think about it. These are children. They can't advocate for themselves. They don't realize that what they're eating isn't necessarily healthy. And even though a lot of schools are doing a really good job of educating kids about healthy food, they're still serving them food that isn't good for them. The solution isn't wiping out candy and soda and chips from the school's snack machines. We've done that, and it hasn't really done much to solve any problems. Kids are still bringing unhealthy food from home, or getting their bad nutrition from other sources, like the excess in beef and sugary dairy products that we're feeding them all the time. In my research, I also noticed that a lot of schools struggle with getting kids to eat the healthy food that they do have because most of the vegetables they're getting are frozen or canned and don't come out on the kids' trays as looking appetizing or even edible because they're overcooked or overprocessed. This problem is once again rooted in the fact that it's really expensive to get healthy, fresh vegetables and fruits, and it's hard to get kids to eat something that doesn't look good. If the federal government subsidized something like soy milk, or fruits and vegetables that are healthier, kids would be receiving a better diet at school, and it would be more affordable for the rest of America to have a healthy diet as well. The purpose of comparing the NSLP to McDonald's is to show that the NSLP has the purchasing power of a large fast food company. Around 10 years ago, McDonald's decided to raise the standard of the beef they serve, and instead of having to bring the prices up because they were serving higher quality beef, their purchasing power allowed them to get better beef for the same price. The NSLP could use their purchasing power to get healthier food and better quality healthy food at the same prices they're already getting the food they have. Why aren't they doing this? Because at first they're going to have to drop a lot of money on it, and that's always scary. Second, they've been doing it the same way for so long that a lot of people are resistant to change, even though it's clearly really, really necessary. Such a simple solution to such a big problem, yet somehow we're still feeding kids low-quality, high-fat beef. Does anyone else see this as a problem? I do.